everybody, I'm here today to tell you something that you can do that will make you fail your driving test. So although you can do this thing, I would recommend that you avoid doing it at all costs because it will likely contribute significantly to you failing your driving test. And that thing is speeding. You definitely want to avoid speeding while you're taking your driving test. Now let me explain something. When you see a posted speed limit, that is the maximum recommended speed. That is the safe speed that people have deemed is safe to drive at when the weather conditions are ideal. So that means that when you're driving on a road that has a posted speed limit of 50 kilometers an hour, you should try and drive at 50 kilometers an hour or as low as 47 kilometers an hour. So I would say at the speed limit or slightly below, up to 3 kilometers per hour below the speed limit, continually maintaining that speed. Now, if you go over for a mere second, if you go over by 2 kilometers an hour for a second or two, is that going to make you fail your driving test? Probably not. But if you're continually going over, if you're continually speeding, then what's going to happen is the driving examiner is going to wonder why you can't maintain the speed limit, why you can't drive the appropriate speed, and they're probably going to fail you. And if they don't fail you just because of that, then they're probably going to use that in conjunction with a few other things, and probably it will contribute to you failing the driving test. Now let me explain one more thing. If the weather conditions are not ideal, if the road conditions are not ideal, then you should not drive the speed limit. So if it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's icy, if it's foggy, if it's windy, if the road conditions are not ideal, then that speed limit that's posted on the road should not apply to your driving. So meaning if I'm driving on a road that has a speed limit of 50 kilometers an hour, but the roads are icy, then that means I should not drive at 50 kilometers an hour. If I drive at 50 kilometers an hour, then in theory, I'm speeding because I should be driving much slower. The safe driving speed will be much slower than the posted speed limit if the road conditions are not ideal. So just because you're driving the speed limit doesn't mean that you're not speeding. Because if the roads are wet, or the roads are icy, or the air is foggy, or the air is windy, or whatever the case is, if it's snowing, if it's hailing, if it's raining, if there is some condition out there that is causing the road conditions to be not ideal, then what happens is, even if you drive the speed limit, you end up speeding. So you have to adjust your speed according to the road conditions, okay? So you have to use your judgment, okay? If the road conditions are ideal, then use the posted speed limit as your gauge. And like I said, at the speed limit or slightly below, you want to be able to maintain about a 3 kilometer an hour range. The speed limit is 50, 47 to 50 kilometers an hour is perfectly fine in my opinion. But if the road conditions are not ideal, you have to slow down and decrease that speed significantly. The worse off that the road conditions are, the more that you have to decrease the speed that you're driving at. Now, like I said, if you just go over the speed limit or the sort of recommended safe driving speed for a fraction of a second, once or twice, does that mean you're going to fail? Probably not. The driving examiners are human beings, and they understand that it's virtually impossible for someone to drive at 50 kilometers an hour exactly for the entire duration of the test. It's not practical, but if you continually go over the speed limit or the safe driving speed or the flow of traffic speed, whatever it is, whatever speed it is that you have to drive at, then the examiner is going to wonder why you can't maintain your speed. So that's a good practice point. Practice you're maintaining your speed, practice your driving speed maintenance, practice it as much as possible, and you'll probably be good to go. On a side note, it's also a bad idea to drive too slowly. So if the posted speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour and the road conditions are ideal, you shouldn't be driving 40 kilometers an hour. If you drive 45 for a fraction of a second and then you go back up to 48, that's probably going to be okay. But don't continually speed and don't continually drive too slowly. Those are things that driving examiners look for, and those are things that your driving instructor, whether you're taking driving school or it's just me telling you about it, they should let you know that you should avoid those things. And that's basically it. In this video, I've gone over something that you can do that you should not do because it will probably make you fail your driving test. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.